She didn't wait for you. She stepped forward first. And in that moment, something quiet but powerful was said without a single word. Most men think a hug is just a hug, a polite gesture, a friendly habit, something warm, brief, forgettable. But when a woman hugs you first, especially without a clear social obligation, she's not acting on politeness, she's acting on instinct. And instinct always reveals more truth than words ever will. Here's what most men miss. Women are far more selective with physical initiation than men realize. Touch is not casual to the female nervous system. It's a filter, a test, a signal she only sends when her subconscious feels safe, curious, and emotionally open. When she hugs you first, she's already answered several internal questions about you. She's assessed your presence, your emotional steadiness, your energy, your restraint. And she decided, even if only for a moment, that being close to you felt right. That decision didn't happen in seconds. It happened over time, through observation. How you speak when you're not trying to impress, how you react when things don't go your way, whether you listen without rushing to prove yourself, whether your attention feels grounded instead of hungry. Women don't move toward chaos, they move toward clarity. And that hug is her body leaning toward what feels clear. There are different kinds of hugs, and this is where psychology matters. A quick side hug is social safety, a polite shield. But when she steps fully into you, when her arms wrap without hesitation, when her body relaxes instead of stiffens, she's communicating comfort and trust. Trust is the doorway to attraction. Without it, nothing real ever grows. With it, everything changes. Notice her timing. If she hugs you before you reach for her, that's initiation. Initiation means investment. She didn't wait to be chosen. She chose the moment. Women don't do that unless they feel emotionally aligned. And alignment doesn't come from looks alone. It comes from how you make her nervous system feel when you're near. Calm, seen, unpressured. Here's the part men often sabotage. When a woman hugs you first, she's watching what you do with that moment. Do you cling? Do you rush to escalate? Do you joke to hide the intensity? Or do you stay present, grounded, and unneedy? Your response either confirms her instinct or makes her regret it. Attraction grows when a man can hold closeness without grasping for more. Understand this deeply. A woman's body often admits interest before her mind is ready to explain it. That hug may come before she fully understands why she feels drawn to you. That's why it's subtle. That's why it's easy to dismiss. But subtle signals are the most honest ones. She hugged you first because something about you felt familiar in a good way. Not boring, safe in the sense of emotionally regulated, masculine without force, present without pressure. That's rare. And rarity creates curiosity. If you learn to read moments like this without overreacting, without needing to label or rush them, you step into a different category of man, the kind women feel drawn to before they know how to explain why. What makes this moment so powerful isn't the hug itself, it's what had to be true inside her before she ever moved toward you. Women don't initiate physical closeness unless their internal defenses have already lowered, and those defenses are not easy to bypass. They're built from past disappointments, broken trust, unwanted pressure, and men who took too much too fast. So when she steps in first, understand this clearly. You passed a test you didn't even know you were taking. Most men assume attraction is loud, obvious, sexual. But real attraction, especially the kind that lasts, starts quietly. It starts when a woman's nervous system relaxes around you. When she doesn't feel watched, evaluated, or hunted. When she feels free to be herself without managing your expectations. That's the environment in which she feels safe enough to initiate touch. She hugged you first because your presence didn't demand anything from her. You weren't pulling. You weren't performing. You weren't trying to extract validation. And paradoxically, that absence of pressure made her lean in. Female psychology works this way because women are constantly reading emotional subtext. They feel intention before they hear words. And if your intention feels clean, grounded, and self-contained, Her body responds before her logic can interfere. Here's something few men understand. Women don't move toward men who want them. They move toward men who are comfortable, whether they're chosen or not. That comfort communicates strength on a deep biological level. It says, I am stable. I am not desperate. I am not trying to fill a hole through you. And that signal is incredibly attractive. When she hugged you first, she was also checking something else. How do you handle closeness? Can you stay relaxed, or do you tense up? Do you turn it into a joke to escape vulnerability? Do you squeeze too hard, trying to lock the moment in place? Or can you meet her warmth with calm confidence and then let go without lingering need? Women remember how a man exits a moment just as much as how he enters it. This is where many men unknowingly fail. They interpret the hug as permission to accelerate, to text more, to push intimacy faster, to demand clarity before she's had time to explore her own feelings. That pressure collapses attraction. Not because she changed her mind, but because you changed the emotional temperature. What was light becomes heavy. What was natural becomes forced. A hug initiated by her is not a green light to chase. It's an invitation to stay exactly as you are, to remain centered, to allow space. Attraction grows in space, not in pursuit. The more you can tolerate uncertainty without trying to control the outcome, the more magnetic you become. She's also watching how you treat that moment afterward. Do you act like something is owed to you now? Or do you continue showing up with the same grounded energy, the same respect for boundaries, the same self-direction? Women feel safest with men whose identity doesn't hinge on female approval. And safety is the soil where desire deepens. Understand this. When a woman hugs you first, she's not handing you a conclusion. She's opening a door. What happens next depends entirely on whether you walk through it with patience and self-respect, or rush in trying to grab what isn't ready yet. Here's the truth most men never hear. That hug wasn't about affection alone. It was about alignment. A woman's body moves toward what feels emotionally congruent. When she hugs you first, she's unconsciously saying, "You feel like someone I could let closer." Not now, not fully, but potentially. And potential is where real desire begins. Female psychology doesn't operate on instant conclusions. It operates on unfolding impressions. She's constantly asking herself questions she may never speak out loud. How do I feel around him? Do I feel more like myself or less? Do I feel calm or alert? Do I feel open or guarded? When her body initiates contact, it means those answers leaned in your favor. But here's where depth matters. A woman can be attracted and still pull back if the man misreads the signal. Because what she's testing isn't whether you want her. She already knows that. She's testing whether you can hold emotional weight without collapsing into need or dominance. That's why the hug comes before clarity, before words, before labels. It's a low-risk probe of your emotional intelligence. What most men don't realize is that women are hypersensitive to shifts in energy. The moment after the hug is often more important than the hug itself. Did your tone change? Did your posture shift? Did you suddenly become more eager, more attentive, more available in a way that felt transactional? Or did you remain steady, as if closeness didn't destabilize you? Stability is seductive, not excitement, not mystery. Stability, especially to a woman who has experienced emotional inconsistency in the past. When she hugs you first and feels that nothing in you needs to grab onto her, her attraction deepens quietly. She may not even label it as attraction yet. She'll just notice that she thinks about you later, that she replays how she felt, that she wonders why your presence lingers in her body longer than expected. This is where patience separates boys from men. If you try to define the moment too quickly, you force her out of her intuitive process and into logic. Logic often kills what intuition was nurturing. Women fall in love first through feeling, not reasoning. Your job isn't to convince, it's to remain consistent. There's also something else happening beneath the surface. When she initiates touch, she's reclaiming agency. She's choosing rather than reacting. That means she feels emotionally safe enough with you to express desire without fear of being consumed by it. If you respond by overpowering the moment, you violate that safety. If you respond by honoring it, you become rare. Men who understand this don't rush. They don't escalate immediately. They don't change their behavior to lock something down. They let the connection breathe. They allow her curiosity to grow. And curiosity, when unpressured, turns into desire. You must also understand that a hug is not a promise. It's not a guarantee. It's not a contract. It's information. Information about how she feels in your presence at that moment. Strong men don't cling to moments. They integrate them and move forward without attachment. That's what makes them emotionally attractive. When she hugged you first, she was paying attention to whether you could meet her humanity without trying to extract something from it, whether you could enjoy closeness without ownership, whether you could remain yourself without shrinking or inflating. Most men miss this because they're trained to chase outcomes, but women respond to process, to emotional pacing, to a man who understands that connection unfolds in layers, not leaps. If you can stay grounded after a moment like that, if you can continue your life with purpose and presence, you place yourself in a category she rarely encounters. And rarity is powerful. There's a deeper layer to this that almost no one talks about. When a woman hugs you first, she's not only responding to who you are with her, she's responding to who you are without her. Women are drawn to men whose lives feel full, directed, and emotionally self-sufficient. The hug is her body acknowledging that you don't need her to feel whole. Female psychology is shaped by contrast. She's constantly comparing how she feels around different men, even subconsciously. Around some, she feels drained. Around others, she feels tense. But around a man who is centered in his own life, she feels lighter, less responsible, less guarded. That relief is intoxicating, and relief is what often pulls her closer before attraction fully forms. When she initiates touch, she's stepping into that relief. She's momentarily resting in your emotional stability. That's why the hug feels natural instead of forced. That's why it happens without planning. Her body recognizes something her mind hasn't articulated yet. This is also why trying to capitalize on the moment often backfires. The second you try to turn that hug into leverage, you reveal that your emotional center is external, that you were waiting for a sign, waiting for permission. And permission-seeking energy quietly erodes attraction. Women want to feel chosen, not responsible for choosing you. A man who understands female psychology doesn't treat a hug as progress. He treats it as resonance. He doesn't mark it on a mental scoreboard. He lets it inform him without changing him. That's the difference between confidence and performance. There's something profoundly attractive about a man who can experience closeness and still maintain boundaries, who doesn't overtext the next day, who doesn't replay the moment obsessively, who doesn't ask for reassurance disguised as conversation. That restraint tells her that your interest is intentional, not compulsive. And here's the paradox. The less you try to secure her, the more secure she feels with you. Because security isn't created through control, it's created through consistency. Through knowing that your mood, your direction, and your sense of self don't fluctuate based on her reactions. This is why women often say they don't know why they're drawn to a man like this. Because the attraction isn't being generated by tactics, it's being generated by nervous system compatibility. Your calm regulates hers, your presence slows her down, and in a world where most men are rushing, that slowness feels rare and safe. A hug initiated by her is also a mirror. It reflects how you've been showing up, not just with her, but in your life. Men who are chasing validation rarely receive unsolicited touch. Men who are aligned with their purpose often do, not because women are rewards, but because alignment is magnetic. If you want more moments like this, you don't focus on women. You focus on your own integrity, your own direction, your own emotional regulation. Women sense when a man's attention comes from abundance rather than hunger. When she hugged you first, she wasn't asking you to step closer physically. She was inviting you to stay exactly where you are internally, grounded, present, unrushed, because that inner position is what made her move toward you in the first place. Lose that, and the signal fades. Hold it, and the connection has room to deepen on its own terms. By the time a woman hugs you first, something irreversible has already shifted inside her. Not commitment, not certainty, but awareness. She has felt something register in her body, and once that happens, she can't unknow it. Even if she pulls back later, even if life intervenes, even if timing gets complicated, the imprint remains, and that's why these moments matter more than men realize. What happens after is where legacy is built. Most men think attraction is about doing more, saying more, escalating more. But the men women remember are the ones who knew when to do less, the ones who didn't contaminate a clean emotional moment with urgency, the ones who allowed space to do the work for them. If she hugged you first and you continued living your life with direction, purpose, and emotional restraint, you became a reference point in her mind, a contrast, someone she measures others against, not because you tried to impress her, but because you didn't try to trap the moment. Women rarely forget men who made them feel safe without making them feel owned. And here's the truth that stings but frees you. Even if nothing else happens, even if the connection doesn't progress the way you hoped, that hug still meant something. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't accidental. It was a real response to who you were in that moment. And strong men don't need guarantees to value truth. The men who suffer are the ones who turn moments into expectations. They don't let life unfold. They grip. They analyze. They demand meaning instead of allowing meaning to emerge. That desperation leaks into behavior, and women feel it instantly, not consciously, viscerally. A man who understands female psychology doesn't ask, "What does this mean?" He asks, "Who must I continue being?" Because attraction isn't sustained by decoding signals. It's sustained by identity, by emotional self-command, by consistency over time. If you want women to initiate closeness with you more often, the answer isn't better lines, better tactics, or more confidence theatre. It's becoming the kind of man whose presence slows the room down, whose attention feels deliberate, whose life feels full even when no one is watching. That's what her body responded to. And here's something powerful to sit with. When a woman initiates touch, she's not only responding to you, she's responding to how she feels about herself around you. More relaxed, more feminine, less guarded. You gave her permission to exhale. And that's rare in a world where most interactions feel like negotiations. Men who understand this stop chasing outcomes and start cultivating presence. They don't rush intimacy. They let attraction ripen. And when it does, it's deeper, calmer, and far more enduring. Now here's the question I want you to answer honestly, not for me, but for yourself, and then leave your answer in the comments. When she hugged you first, did you stay grounded in who you are, or did you start trying to become what you thought she wanted? If this video helped you see that moment differently, like the video, subscribe for more insights that most men are never taught, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it before he ruins the next moment that actually matters.